Hello, and welcome to my presentation on my research article. My presentation is entitled, Do Humpback Whales Care? And we'll be examining different interactions that humpback whales have with mammal-eating killer whales and deciding whether or not they truly exhibit altruistic behavior. So here's a citation from my research article. The formal title of the paper is Humpback Whales Interfering with Mammal-Eating Killer Whales Attack Other Species, Mobbing Behavior, and Interspecific Altruism. The rest of the citation is there if you'd like to look over it. So the general purpose of this article was to, one, determine the makeup of different humpback whale and mammal-eating killer whales from a selection of 115 interactions. It was categorized in a long list of tables, which we'll see a portion of that table coming up in the next few slides. And another part of that purpose was to determine the intentions of the humpback whale mobbing behavior. The humpback whale mobbing behavior came to the aid of not only humpback whales, but other species of cetaceans, or, in layman's terms, other whales, and also pinnipeds or sea lions and seals. They also came to the aid of ocean sunfish as well, 2 times. So why study these interactions? Why is that important? The study examines the interspecific altruism. So interspecific altruism allows us to examine if other species besides humans actually just go out of their way just to help other animals. No specific benefit towards them, but just in the name of helping other animals. Also, it helps us examine evolutionary adaptations that humpbacks have. So specifically their large pectoral fins, or what we call flippers. Do those adaptations make it more efficient at mobbing marine-eating killer whales? And also, another important to the study examines how complex behaviors evolve in the animal kingdom. So if we know that these humpback whales exhibit those complex social behaviors like altruism, then we can start mapping where and when those complex social behaviors occur. Moving on. Research questions. So what did those research specifically ask? Two of the most important research questions that they asked were, why would humpback whales deliberately interfere attacking killer whales in any case? And then more specifically, why would humpback whales come to the aid of individuals that are not a part of its species? And you can see this in the two left side images down in the bottom collage there. One is the humpback whale is protecting that the crab-eating seal that is on that ice floe, and then below that you can see a killer whale flinging a sea lion out of the water, and in the background a humpback whale is coming to its rescue. So we're trying to more importantly examine why would humpback whales come to the aid of other species. Critical paradigm. So how is this being studied? How and when is this being studied? A lot of this was actually qualitative data, so recordings from people's observations from different experiences they've seen with an interaction between killer whales and humpback whales. There's over 115 recorded observations between these, and these researchers split up and then quantitatively analyzed the different interactions into a number of killer whales, and you can see this chart down here, number of killer whales, a number of humpback whales, different types of behavior, and then took different percentages of occurrence and how these different interactions occurred. So moving on, so what was the method? How did this occur? Well, the participants in the study were different interactions between the killer whales and humpback whales. So consider the participants, there's 115 different interactions, which all came from Appendix S2. These interactions were then characterized by different characteristics. Those characteristics being killer whale ecotype, which basically means, are they marine-eating killer whales? Are they fish-eating killer whales? What kind of killer whales they are and how those were identified. Often, if the killer whales were just passing through the area and not permanent residents, they were considered marine-eating killer whales, because often fish-eating killer whales stay in one specific area. So there was some definition there. Prey type. So what kind of prey? Was it a cetacean, a humpback whale, a right whale? Was it a pinniped, a sea lion, a Weddell seal, something like that? Or was it a fish, like ocean sunfish? Also, the number of killer whales that were attacking, the number of humpback whales that came to aid, if the prey was killed or not, if the humpback whales, if that was being attacked, if there was a calf or not, the duration of the attack or the interaction between the humpback whale, the behavior of the humpback whale when they approached or whether they were approached, which leads us into the who approached who, and then the distance that the so-called savior humpback whale traveled to go and defend the interaction. And so basically, the method was to perform statistical analyses on these to determine what percentage of the interactions were solely just out of the humpback whale's heart and was altruistic rather than beneficial in some type of way to that humpback whale. So what were the main findings of this? Basically, humpback whales exclusively approached marine-eating killer whales, opposed to fish-eating killer whales. It's exactly 95% of those interactions were up to marine-eating killer whales, meaning they know which ones are a threat. So they know which ones are going to come after their calves, which leads to the next point. Mammal-eating killer whales attacked humpbacks with calves 94% of the cases present. The interactions with humpback whales that had calves also last longer, so it was obvious that the marine-eating killer whales were attacking calves. This is most likely also why the humpbacks only approach the mammal-eating killer whales, because they know those are the threats. Mobbing behavior occurred over 55% of the time when humpbacks occurred to their definition. So mobbing behavior is defined as trumpeting, blowing, wheezing blows, snorting accidentally loudly, lashing fins and flukes on the waves, on the water, potentially even trying to hit them with their flukes or fins. And that occurred over 55% of the time when humpbacks tried to intervene, and so they were trying to actively make the mammal-eating killer whales disinterested or make it too much of a hassle for them to eat the prey, whatever it was. Also, humpbacks exhibited this behavior toward other predator behaviors, so not just marine-eating killer whales, also smaller Odontocida type whales, which are toothed whales. So they exhibited this towards false killer whales, short-finned and long-finned pilot whales as well that came after them and other species, including pinnipeds. So other main findings. Often the attacks on specific humpback whales occurred during migratory routes that mom and calves took together, and this often these mom and calf pairs were often accompanied by an escort or a male that was not determined to be related or unrelated, but a male that often guarded them on their route. Moving to the next point, humpbacks could be responding to the feeding populations of mammal-eating killer whales. So that is one possibility on how these humpbacks know to come and defend whatever it may be, whether it be the pinnipeds or the cetaceans. It's a way that humpbacks could recognize, oh, these killer whales are coming and attacking something, and then that leads to, well, why would humpback whales come to the aid of other species? Well, altruism cannot be ruled out, and it could be due to spillover. So humpback whales could assume something's being attacked. It very well may be another humpback whale, so might as well go check it out and might as well defend whatever it is, just in case it is that humpback whale. And since they already put in the energy to get there, they often ward off the marine the mammal-eating killer whale, even if it may not be a member of their own species. So some limitations that occur in this study were a lot of these accounts that existed and that they analyzed out of the 115 came from varying sources of credibility. So some of these may have come from scientists that are revered in the field of animal behavior, and the other ones could come from just passerbys on boats and other sort of vessels, so there really wasn't a standard on what these different accounts were looking for. Also, some specific encounters could not be observed in full, so they either ran too long or the people observing them just came in the middle of the interaction, so we couldn't gather 100% information on that specific interaction. Some future research that they specifically identify in this paper are the relatedness of humpback escorts to the mothers and calves, and that they accompany the duration of those associations, and that will be important for understanding the social and anti-predator roles of the escort. So those escorts that accompany those mothers and calves on those migratory routes would be very interesting to determine whether or not they were related in any way, or if there's any benefit to be a male escort to these mom and calf pairs. Also, there's not much research in cooperative defense in humpback whales, so you could potentially also look at how humpback whales use cooperative defense, because humpback whales are not extremely tied in specific pods like other whales are, or specific social networks like other whales are. In conclusion, this is a very interesting research topic on how other species besides humans may exhibit behavior that may look like they're just looking out for other species rather than trying to gain some benefit, like a lot of research suggests. It would be very interesting to continue this research in a way that would be more proactive rather than retrospective. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a great day.